All right, so in my last class, we were looking at working capital management, and I have done as much as possible to all the theoretical parts of this particular topic. I made the material available for you guys so you can go through and see what working capital management is all about. So I think we later solved one question, which we completed, and that was where we ended the class. So we can't move forward to any other topic if we don't solve some further questions on working capital management. Now, what is going to happen is that I have provided a question on working capital management. In fact, I have questions on working capital management. We'll just keep solving until we are good. I told my student that if you solve 3 questions in working capital management and you feel that you know this course or you know this topic, you have not started. Working capital management can take different shape, different pattern. So you need to solve several questions, questions upon questions, so you'll be familiar with what working capital management actually is. Now, if you are doing working capital management at PM level, it is quite easier than when you are doing working capital management at FM level. So at FM level, if you're writing FM, if you're solving 5 questions for PM just to know working capital, you should solve at least 7 to 8 questions for FM to understand working capital. Now, this question I want to solve is PM question tested in May 2023, Vestapricy. These are the requirements of the question. We're only going to be working with A, okay, the A part of this question. Please stay with me as I do justice to this question. If time permits us, I'm going to solve Oleku, okay? I'm going to try to solve Oleku. I think I have it here. This is Oleku. So let's just see what we can do first. I'm not going to be going back to what working capital is. If you didn't join my last class, please get the video and watch. We don't have time to do that. So this is the question on working capital. Now, the requirement of the question states that compute the cost of goods sold for 2021 and 2022, 3 marks. Compute the cost of goods sold for 2021 and 2022, 3 marks. Now, cost of goods sold is not actually working capital anyway, so this question has cost of goods sold for you to compute. Now, this is not a working capital requirement, but when you are calculating for working capital, there are some things that you need, which you are going to get from this cost of goods sold computation. Because when we are solving the questions, I gave you formulas that you will need for inventory. I gave you formulas that you will need to calculate for debtors, formula that you will need to calculate for payables. And if you check those formulas, you will need cost of goods sold for some of those formulas. How do you get the cost of goods sold if you weren't given? How do you get the cost of goods sold if you weren't given in the question? All right. So now the question is telling you that AI, you should what? Calculate the cost of working capital. That's what the question is telling you to do right now. Now, how do you calculate cost of goods sold? Please, if you want to calculate your cost of goods sold, just remember the way you do your cost of goods sold in your exam, in your profit and loss account. All right. The way you usually calculate your cost of goods sold in your profit and loss account, that's the same way you're going to calculate your cost of goods sold in this question. All right, that's the way you are going to do that in this question. So let's go and read the question. Now, what do we have in this question? Now, Vestapricy and Company Limited is a manufacturing outfit located in Port Harcourt. It produces a tracking device that is attached to motor vehicles. That's good. The device is designed to help locate the whereabouts of stolen motor vehicles within the country. So what they do is that they produce what tracking device, and this tracking device is being sold to people that own cars. You get it? So they can use it to track cars, stolen cars within the country. Now, the company's capital or cash operating cycle is the length of time between the payment for purchased materials and the receipt of payment from selling the goods made with the materials. That is just the definition of working capital anywhere, working capital cycle anywhere. That's why they said the company's capital or cash operating cycle. So they're trying to define it for you. They said it is the length of time between the payment for purchased material, okay, and the receipt of payment from selling the goods made with the materials. I don't need to explain that again. I've told you in my last class what that means. I've explained what working capital means, so I'm not going to be touching that again. Please attend classes, do not miss. Now, the table below gives information extracted from the annual account of Vestapricy and Company Limited for the past 3 years. Extract from Vestapricy and Company Limited annual account for 31st December 2020 to December 2022. So we have been given extract of financials. So I'll be giving 2020 financials, 2021 financials, and 2022 financials. Now, if you check what was given to us, they gave us inventory. And the inventory breakdown, we have raw material, we have work in progress, and we have finished goods. Now, this means that this company is a manufacturing company. Apart from them telling us here, under here, that it's a manufacturing outfit. So this company is a manufacturing company. We're also giving purchases, sales, trade receivables, trade payables. Now, all these are balance sheet items, excluding purchases and sales. The rest are balance sheet items. So they are giving us figures for balance sheet and they are figures for profit and loss account. Now, they now went further to say other information is as follows. Number one, the purchase and sales are on credit. Now, why are they telling us that purchase and sales are on credit? I told you that when we start solving, there's a part that you need credit sales and there's a part that you need credit purchases. Isn't it? So the question has told you that, look, oh, these sales that you have here, they are all on credit. And these purchases that you have here, they are also all on credit. I make you guys understand that even if they did not state that they are on credit, they just gave it to you sales and they just gave it to you purchases. All right? They just gave it to you sales and they just gave it to you purchases. And they didn't state anything in the additional information that whether they are on credit or not. Do not panic. Use the figures like that. You will assume that the sales figures and the purchase figures given to you, they are technically what? On credit, whether it is expressly stated or not. I've mentioned that before. Stay with me. Then, point number two, they said direct wages, 300,000 for 2021 and 250 for 2022. We're going to be needing this figure to compute our cost of goods sold. All right. We're going to be needing this figure to compute our cost of goods sold. I'm going to show you how we go about that. Then we have production expenses. We have for 2021, 72,600, and we have for 2022, 171,995. We're also going to be needing this to compute our cost of goods sold, isn't it? Then we have number four. It states that the company's policy is that any data that will be used from the statement of financial position in determining the working capital cycle period will be average based. It means that any information, any financial data or any figure we are using here to compute the working capital cycle, let us make sure that that figure is average. All right. When I was giving the formula, I explained this to you. I told you that you can use the figure 2020 on its own or 2021 on its own, or you can look for the average. Opening plus closing, you divide it by 2. So Ican is telling you that, look, oh, the option that they want you to go with is the average figures. Don't just pick inventory for the actual year and divide it by the whatever you need to divide it with. Ensure that you pick the average figure. This is a warning from the examiner, and that is what you must do. So the number 8 says what? Compute the cost of goods sold for 2021 and 2022. Cost of goods sold is simply opening stock plus purchases, abi? Plus purchases minus closing stock. If you have direct costs, okay, of production, you can add your direct cost. For example, direct wages. Add your direct wages and also add your indirect expense, which is your production expenses. There's no rocket science here. Everybody did financial accounting. Where you have the cost of sales, where you say sales, less cost of sales. Under the cost of sales, you see opening stock, purchases, less closing stock. Okay, then if you have direct cost, e.g. direct wages, you are also going to add that there. And if you have production expenses, okay, you can also add that there. This is a common thing that everybody knows. Now let's see how we can solve this. Stay with me, okay? Now this is my solution. All right, this is my solution to Vestapricy. Please, this question is very cheap. When I saw this question initially, I was very embarrassed why I can't say this kind of cheap question as number 1 in PM. It's very cheap. So please stay with me. We want to compute working capital. Now, we want to compute cost of goods sold. Now, if you check my solution, I said Vestapricy and Co. Limited. That's the first thing you want to tell Ican, that this is the name of the company I want to solve for. Then the next is to tell Ican what you want to solve, which is what? Computation of cost of goods sold for 2021 and 2022. That is the requirement of the question. Now, how do you start? We have that already stated here, our Naira 2021 and our Naira 2022. Because we are meant to calculate cost of sales, we already know that we are supposed to start with opening stock. That's the first thing I told you. You're supposed to start with what? Opening stock, which is this OS. But because this is a manufacturing company, the stock exists as raw material, it exists as work in progress, and it also exists as finished goods. So we have 3 stocks in the question. So we are going to start with the first one, raw material. So what is the opening stock of raw material? That's what we're going to start with first. To come to my solution, you see it, opening stock or opening inventory of raw material. Go back to the question, how do we get this figure? How do we get opening inventory of raw material? Now, in this question, we are only given inventory, raw material, work in progress, and finished goods. We are not told whether it is opening, and we are not told whether it is what? Closing. Okay? We are not told whether it is opening, we are not told whether it is closing. But because this is a balance sheet, it is clear that these figures are closing figures. I told you, this is a balance sheet. The figures are closing figures. Therefore, this 108,000 you are seeing here is closing inventory of raw material for 2020. This 145,800 is closing inventory of raw material 2021. This 180 you see here is closing inventory of raw material 2022. Don't let anybody deceive you. Now, because these figures are closing, the next thing that you ask yourself is, which ones are now opening? We did this in our last class. There's nothing like which one are now opening. It's very simple. The closing stock of 2020 is the opening stock of 2021. Am I communicating? I repeat, the closing stock of 2020, which is this 108, it is closing in 2020, but it will become opening in 2021. This 145,800, which is closing in 2021, will become opening in 2022. This 180, which is closing in 2022, will become opening in 2023. So with just this one figure, we can see the closing and the opening stocks for each of those years for raw material. Please reach out to me via the chat box, okay? If you are actually following up, all right? If you're actually following up. All right, so let's go down. Let's do this. So what is our opening stock of raw material for 2021? For 2021, okay, focus your mind. Let me clean this out. Okay. Now for 2021, which is this year, our opening stock will be from 2020, which will come. Okay. So the closing stock of 2020 will become opening stock of 2021. So we're going to be picking 108,000. That's what we use there, 108,000. Please talk to me. Am I communicating? Are we on the same page? All right. Are we on the same page? Thank you. All right. So we have 108,000. Let's look to 2022. Let's look for opening stock of 2022. The opening stock of 2022, okay, the opening stock of 2022 will be the closing stock of 2021, okay, which is this 145,800. Okay, this 145,800, which is the closing stock of 2021, shall be opening stock of 2022. So let's go and confirm 145,800. Are we together now? Are we together now? All right, that's good. Now that we are done with our opening stock, we already know it is opening stock plus purchases. Now we have done opening stock of raw material. Somebody may be thinking, okay, why don't you just move to the next one, opening stock of work in progress, and then move to opening stock of finished goods? No, you cannot move like that. When you do opening stock of raw material, you need to also calculate the purchases of that same raw material, because the purchases given to us in this question, these purchases you are seeing in this question, it's not finished goods. So a manufacturing company will buy raw material, while a trading company will buy finished goods. Since it is a manufacturing company, these purchases you are seeing here is purchases of raw material. So now that we have captured our opening stock of raw material, it is wise for us to also capture the purchases of the raw material. Am I making sense now? So what is the purchase of the raw material? 702 and 720. Okay, 702 for 2021 and 720 for 2022. So let's go and put it here. 702 for 2021, 720 for 2022. Somebody wants to ask me, the person is saying, these purchases that you have here, is it not closing purchases? There is nothing like opening purchases and closing purchases. Purchases and sales are trading account item. They are profit and loss account item. So when we have 702 for purchases, that does not mean it is closing purchases. It is the actual purchase for that year. When we have 720 for purchases, that is the actual purchases for 2022. The only thing that is opening and closing are balance sheet figures. Anything outside balance sheet figures, which is profit and loss figures, they are the actual figures for that year. There's nothing like opening or closing for profit and loss account figures. I hope I'm making sense. That is why I'm picking the exact 702 for 2021 and 720 for 2022. That's what we have here. 702 2021 and 720 2022. So this is my raw material I came with, which is not enough for me to use for the period. I need to buy to add it. If I add both together, that gives me cost of raw material available for use. Am I making sense now? Am I making sense now? That will give me what? The cost of the raw material that I have available for use. So I brought some from last year, which is this one, opening. Then I purchased some for this year to add it up. So that means that I have raw material that is available for me to use for production. So can somebody do 108 plus 702? You get 810. Can somebody do 145 and 720? You get 865. I need those figures confirmed, please. Add up the 108.
810 confirmed.
Confirmed. 145, 800 plus 720.
Yes.
865, 800 confirmed. Confirmed?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Now we are good.
Yes.
Thank you. So now that we have gotten our cost of raw material available, we now need to move to what? We now need to move to closing stock of the raw material. Okay, raw material. We've done opening stock of raw material. We've treated the purchases of raw material. Now let us treat the closing stock of the raw material. Very simple. Now, what is the closing stock of the raw material? Just pick the actual figures. Okay, because this balance sheet is already showing us the actual figures which are closing stock. So what is the closing stock of raw material for 2021? 145,800. Raw material. This 145,800 is the closing stock of 2021. Pick it out. Take it out. 145,800. What's the closing stock for 2022? Let's go. The closing stock for 2022 is 180. All right. Copy it, pick it out, and put it there. 180. Please, am I making sense? Am I making sense? Okay.
Yes,
am I
sir.
communicating? All right.
Yes, sir.
So since I have my closing stock,
communicating.
Thank you. Since I have my closing stock of raw material, what do I do? What do I do? I less it out. Okay. So this is supposed to be in brackets. Less closing stock. Okay. It's supposed to be in brackets. So can somebody do one for me? The other person do the other one for me. 810 minus the closing stock. 810 minus 145, 800. You get 664, 200.
Confirmed.
Confirmed. 865, yes. 800 minus 180. You should get 685, 800. 685, 800. 685, 800. Thank you very much. So now we are done with everything that relates to raw material. So the answer that we got here is what we call cost of raw material used. So let me give you the logic. If I have 810 as the raw material that is available for me to use, and as at the end of the year, I have 145, 800 that I have not used. That means that what I actually used during the year is this 664,200. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? That is why we call it cost of raw material or cost of material that we actually used. I have 810 that is available for me to use. As at the end of the year, we are told our closing stock, which means the one that we did not use, is 145, 800. That means that the one that we use is what? 664,200. It's as simple as that. That's the logic. Okay, that is the logic. So that is our cost of raw material used. So now that I've gotten my cost of raw material used, should I jump to my work in progress or should I jump to finished goods? That is the next question. Please, I told you that when you're calculating your cost of goods sold, the formula is opening stock plus purchases minus closing stock. Then if you have direct wages, add it. If you have production expenses, add it. Now, in this question, this is a manufacturing question. We have done opening stock of raw material. We have done purchases of raw material. And we have also done closing stock of raw material. We need to move to direct wages and production expenses. All right? We need to move to direct wages and production expenses if you have them in the question. If you don't have them in the question, ladies and gentlemen, please move directly to work in progress. Because after your goods passes through raw material, it will enter work in progress. Then after work in progress, it will enter finished goods. So follow the trend from raw material to work in progress, from work in progress to finished goods. But because in this question, we have direct wages and we also have production expenses, we need to factor it in. So what's our direct wages in the question? 2021, 300,000. 2022, 250,000. Look at them here. 2021, 2022, 300 and 250,000. Copy them. Look at it here. Direct wages 300,000, 250,000. Add them together. That will give us our prime cost. 964,200 to get that, and 935,800. Am I making sense?
Yes,
Am I making sense? Now, somebody wants to ask me, why do you call this thing prime cost, sir? Why are you calling this thing prime cost? Please, I have told you the definition of prime cost simply means direct material plus what? Direct labor plus what? Direct expenses. all direct costs are known as prime costs. So since in this question, everything that we have is only around direct material. The next one is direct labor, which is our direct labor. They did not give us direct expenses. So direct material plus direct labor is equal to prime cost, because everything we have been doing from beginning, opening stock, raw material, purchases, raw material, closing stock, raw material, they are all what? Materials. It is only this direct wages here, that is this one, direct labor is direct wage, the same thing. Add both together. The question did not give us direct expenses. If there was direct expenses, we would have added it. So all my direct cost equals to prime cost. That is why I named these two figures prime cost. One person reached out to me, am I making sense? Oh, am I communicating?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So now that we have our prime cost, okay, now that we have our prime cost, the next thing for us to do is to, we will not forget our production expenses. Remember I told you that my production expenses is an indirect cost, okay? This production expenses given to me in this question here is an indirect cost. So I also need to factor it into production. So for 2021, I have 72,600. For 2022, I have 171,995. Copy and paste. So for 2021, I have 72,600. For 2022, I have 171,995. Add them together. You get 1,036,800. Confirm it. Add both together. You get 1,107,795. Confirmed? Confirm that. Prime cost plus the production expenses. Confirm for 2021 and confirm for 2022, please.
Confirmed.
Okay. All right. So that's fine. So that means that we are done, ladies and gentlemen. We are done with everything in this formula. Okay? We are done with everything in this formula. So we have to repeat this formula again. So now this opening stock now will now replace that raw material. You know, formerly we use raw material, but that's going to be what? Work in progress. So let's start again. Opening stock of work in progress. Is work in progress in this question? Yes, which is this, why? Okay, so we're starting opening stock of work in progress. So for 2021, which is the first year that we're competing for, what's our opening stock for 2021? Don't forget, the closing stock of 2020 shall be the opening stock in 2021. Therefore, our answer is going to be 75,600. The opening stock of work in progress for 2021 is 75,600. Work in progress is stock, which is the balance sheet item. Okay, so 75,600 is our opening stock. That's how we have it here. Let's do for 2022. For 2022, which is this year, 2022, our closing stock of 2021, which is 97,200, will be opening stock for 2022. I hope you agree with me. So 97,200, copy it and put it there, 97,200. Am I making sense now? Go ahead. So we are done with opening stock. Move to purchases. There is no way you can purchase work in progress. Okay? Work in progress simply means goods that have passed a raw material stage. They have not entered finished goods. We are still working on them. So there's no way you can compete for, there's no way that you can get purchases of work in progress. So cancel that one out. You don't need purchases there. The next one is closing stock. Okay? The next one is what? Closing stock. So do we have closing stock of work in progress? Ladies and gentlemen, yes. So the work in progress that we have here, the closing stock for 2021 is 97,200. The closing stock of 2022 is what? 93,360. All right? 97,200, 93,360. Copy and paste. 97,200, 93,360. This is closing stock. Bracket it, okay? Bracket it. You are taking it out. The next thing is, are we going to have direct wages for work in progress? Are we going to have production expenses for work in progress? No, we don't have it. The direct wages and production expenses covers for all of them, covers from the raw material level. So we continue to use them continually. So we don't have the special direct wages and production expenses for work in progress. So forget this one and forget this one. Ladies and gentlemen, we are done. So can somebody add up 1,036,800 plus 77,600 and minus this guy? Minus this guy out. You would get this 1,015,200. 1,015,200. Copy that. Is that understood? Copy.
100.
Correct, sir? Is that correct? Where is that lady that's answering me now? Is she not here again? 1,036,800.
Yeah, confirm. 1,015,200.
Please, you know, this class is only between me and you. The rest of them, they are not holding calculator. You understand? So my only will be teaching, you'll be giving me figures. I don't know why they don't have calculator. But yeah, confirm this one for me. 1,107,795. Add it up with the opening stock and less the closing stock. Do you confirm this figure? Do you confirm this figure? 1,111,635. 1,111,635, correct?
Confirmed. Confirmed.
Thank you. So now we are done, Abi. We are done. So we have treated raw material. We have treated work in progress. The next one for us to treat is what? Finished goods. But before I go to finished goods, the answer that I got here is known as cost of production. So this is my cost of production. It cost me 1,015,200 to produce in 2021. And it cost me 1,111,635 to produce in 2022. Somebody wants to ask, sir, why did you get cost of production when you have not treated finished goods? Ladies and gentlemen, work in progress is converted to finished goods. So it is already converted already. So this money that you spent on work in progress is to convert the work in progress to finished goods. What makes sense now? So you have worked from raw material and you have converted the raw material to work in progress. And you have converted the work in progress to what? To finished goods. And that is all. So you are now moving to selling of these finished goods. All right? You are now moving to the selling of the finished goods. Okay? So that will not give us our cost of production. All right, so we've gotten our cost of production. Once you get your cost of production, you now move to your what? Your finished goods. So the same thing, we're going to repeat this formula again. Opening stock, this time is going to be what? FG, finished goods. Okay, so let's go and check our opening stock of finished goods. Let me clean this so it will be looking sharp. What's our opening stock of finished goods? Who is checking my screen? Some people are not even checking the screen. So this is your finished goods. What's the opening stock of finished goods for 2021? The closing stock of finished goods for 2020 will become the opening for 2021. I hope you agree with me. So 86,400 is the opening stock for 2021. So let's go and confirm. 86,400. Let's do for 2022. For 2022,
129,600. 129,600.
129,600. Thank you. So the closing stock of 2021 will become the opening stock of 2022. 129,600. Thank you. You are following. That's what we have here. All right. Going back to our formula, once we finish with opening stock, we move to purchases. We cannot purchase finished goods. This is a manufacturing company. We only purchase raw material. So we move to cost closing stock. Yes, let us get our closing stock. For finished goods, what's the closing stock for 2021? The closing stock for 2021 is 129,600 for 2021 directly. 129,600. That's how we have it here. The one about for 2022, we have 142,875. 142,875. Going by the formula, direct wages and production overhead, we don't need it. Okay, we don't have a separate direct wages and a separate production overhead for the question. All right, so we are good to go. Ladies and gentlemen, somebody should do 1,115,000 plus our opening stock less our closing stock. Please, somebody should do for 2021, the other person should do for 2022.
Both figures are confirmed.
972,000, 1,098,360.
Yes.
So that's our final answer. Cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold. This is 3 marks. Just in case you want to say, it's too much for 3 marks now. If I'm in the exam hall, I will not do it. You're on your own. Now, look at the B. You will be forced to do it now. Look at the II. Look at the II. Calculate the length of the working capital cycle, assuming 365 days in a year for 2021 and 2022. How can you calculate the length of the working capital cycle without having closing stock, without having cost of sales? It's not possible. Now, when we want to calculate the length of the working capital cycle, I told you that we need 3 things, and I will say it again. When you're calculating the length of a working capital cycle, aka cash operating cycle, you need 3 things. You need your inventory, you need your debtors, and you need your payables. I will repeat it again. You need your inventory, you need your debtors, and you need your creditors, which are your payables. Now come to my solution. Look at it here. Let me clean this up. I did it here. Okay. All right. Now, just take a look at my solution. Working capital cycle. This is always measured in either days, months, or years. That should not be a problem. Now, the first thing we want to deal with is our inventory. Let me underline it here. For you to deal with inventory, you have to calculate the ratios that belong to inventory. So what we want to calculate is our what? Average inventory holding period. Our average inventory holding period. And because this is a manufacturing company, our inventory exists in three forms. We're going to do for raw material, look at it. We're going to do for production cycle, which you call what? Work in progress. And we're also going to do for finished goods. But if it is a trading company, you don't need to do for everything. You just need to do for only finished goods. So let's calculate our inventory now. So our inventory holding period for raw materials first. What is the formula? Average raw material divided by purchases times 365 days. Average raw material divided by purchases times 365 days. Now let us pause. Why am I using average raw material? I can just use raw material for 2021, as I calculate for 2021. I can just use raw material for 2021 figure and raw material for what? 2022 figure, which is the closing materials. Abi? Why am I using average? Based on the question might use average. Come back to the question. It states, the company's policy is that any data that will be used from the statement of financial position in determining the working capital cycle period will be average based. The question told us directly it will be what? Average based. Therefore, I will be using average for what? All the figures I am picking for my balance sheet. So since I am picking my raw material figure from the balance sheet, I'm going to be using the average figure. So what is the average raw material? Average raw material simply means opening raw material plus closing raw material divided by 2. I repeat, opening raw material plus closing raw material divided by 2. So since we are working for 2021, what is the opening raw material for 2021? Don't begin to stress yourself. Come back to this cost of sales that we have done. There was a place we did opening raw material. Look at it. Look at it. Opening inventory of raw material 2021, 108,000. Look at it here. That's what I put there, 108,000. Please, can one person tell me that you are following? That one person is following, I am fine. Am I making sense? We are together.
We are with you, sir.
All right. Then this 145,800 is the closing stock of raw material. No need to go back to the question. Come here. Look for closing stock of raw material. Look at it. Closing stock of inventory of raw material. Look at it here. 145,800. That's how we got this 145,800. Divided by 2 because the thing says average. Okay? So this plus this divided by 2. All right? That is the average. So since we are getting our average raw material, it's going to be over purchases. Purchases for 2021 is 702,000. I can either pick the purchases here, or I will go back to my question and pick it. But since I already have it here as purchases, 702,000, just copy it and put it there, 702,000. Then multiply by 365 days. Don't forget, I am measuring my working capital cycle in days, and I am using 365 days. Now, somebody wants to ask, must I use 365 days? What about I use 366 days? Ladies and gentlemen, come back to the question. The question told us that we should say assume 365 days in a year. Assume. Don't go and do over Sabio. So the question has told you what you should use, 365 days. Please go and use it. If the question is silent, they did not tell you what to use, please still use 365. Still use 365. That is the normal year. Okay? Then, if the question says use 366, don't go say, use 365 direct. For go and use 366 direct. Whatever the question tells you to do, do it. If the question is silent, use 365. Can somebody do 108,000 plus 145,800? The answer that you get divided by 2. The answer that you get divided by 702,000. The answer that you get multiplied by 365 days, you get 66. Can somebody do that for me?
66 days.
Oh, bless you, bless you, bless you. Now, let us look at 2022. What is the opening stock of raw material for 2022? It's clear. Let me clean this so you see it. Let me clean this. Okay, so it looks clean. All right. Perfect. Now, what is the opening stock of raw material for 2022? Just come here. 2022 figure raw material. Look at it. 145,800. This is it. 145,800. What is the closing stock for 2022? Look at closing stock here. Look at it. So look at it. Trace it. 6 what? Oh, sorry. That's not it. Closing stock. Where are you now? All right, this is closing stock. So for 2022, this is the figure 180,000. So put it there 180,000. Divided by 2 because it is average. Then over purchases of 720,000. Where is your purchases? Look, these purchases 720,000 for 2022. So 720,000. Then multiply by 365 days. You will get 83 days. Can anybody interpret? Can anybody get that for me?
Confirm, sir.
Thank you. So we are done with raw material. We'll move to production cycle, aka work in progress. The same thing. This one that I put here is average wipe, okay? Because they say we should use average figure for our balance sheet item. So work in progress is stock, okay, which is a balance sheet item. So it's going to be average work in progress over cost of sales times 365 days. This cost of sales, don't forget, we have already gotten it here. So imagine that we did not solve for cost of sales. How are we going to solve this production cycle or work in progress ratio? So what is our work in progress? We already have our work in progress here. So just come here and focus. Okay, you focus on this work. Focus. All right. So for 2021, our opening work in progress is 75,600. That's what we have here, 75,600. Plus, what's our closing work in progress? 97,200. 97,200. Divided by 2 over, what's our cost of sales? Our cost of sales is 972,000. That's this 972,000. Then multiply by 365 days, you get 32. Confirm my figure?
Confirmed, yes.
Thank you. Do for 2022, okay? Work in progress for 2022 is 97,200. There is it here, 97,200. The closing is 93,360. 93,360. Add it together, divide it by 2. The answer that you get, divide it by 1,098,360, which is this one, 1,098,360. Then multiply by 365 days. Confirm my figure for me, please.
Confirmed.
Somebody is saying, how did we get cost of sales? Okay, we have solved this now. Was it not cost of sales that is the first requirement? This thing that we solve here, the final answer that we got is our cost of sales. This is it here, and this is it here. All right, we'll solve for it already. Maybe you did not join this class early. So you get 32 here. That's that. Then the final one that we'll be working on is our finished goods turnover. Okay, that is the ratio that we use to what? Check our finished goods. So the formula is what? Average finished goods over cost of sales times what? 365 days. So let's look for finished goods here. These are our finished goods. Our opening stock of finished goods for 2021 is 86,400. Look at it here, 86,400. Okay. What is our closing stock? 129,600. Okay. 129,600. Okay. This is it. So we'll put it there, 129,600. Please divide it by 2 because it's average. Then over 972, which is our cost of sales here. The man asking, look at it again, 972. So divide it by 972 and multiply by 365 days. You should get 41.
41 days.
Let's do for 2022. For 2022, the same thing. Our opening stock is 129,600. That is it here. Our closing stock is, let me clean this out. Our closing stock is 172,875. This is it here. 172,875. Divide it by 2 and divide everything by our cost of sales, which is this here, 1,098,360, which is this. Multiply by 365 days, you get 45. Any question? Is that confirmed?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, madam. Going forward, we are done with inventory. I told you that there are 3 things we need to complete whenever we are completing working capital cycle. We need to complete for inventory. For manufacturing company to consist of inventory of raw material, the ratio, inventory of work in progress, the ratio, and the inventory of finished goods, the ratio. Since we are done, we now move to debtors. That's the next thing we're going to complete now. So that debtors, for us to complete for debtors, we're going to calculate receivable collection period. Please note, they may not use the word receivable collection period in some materials. They will just use the word collection period. When they use the word collection period, just know that it is receivables collection period because you collect money or you receive money from your debtors. All right. So what is the formula for receivables collection period? Sir, average receivables, because they told us to use average, divided by credit sales times 365. How do we get our average receivables? Opening debtors plus closing debtors divided by 2. So let's go. For 2021, what's our opening debtors? We don't have anything related to debtors in this cost of sales that we did here. So let's go back to our question. Look for debtors. These are debtors, trade receivable. For 2021, our opening for 2021 is 172,800 because our closing for 2020 will be opening for 2021. Do you agree with me? So 178,800 is the opening. Is the opening for 2021. So 178,200. Let's go. That's it here. Let's go. Is our solution. 178,200. Where are you? Look at it here. 178,200. Am I making sense now? Am I making sense now? Secondly, our closing for 2021 is 259,200. Let's go and confirm. For this 2021, our closing stock will be this same figure under it. 259,200. Okay? 259,200. That is it. 259,200. Divided by 2, okay, because it's average, then divided by credit sales. In this question, we are just giving sales. We are not giving credit sales. But information number 1 told us all purchases and sales are on credit. It therefore means that this sales is a credit sales. And I mentioned, even if you are not told and the question is silent, whether it is on credit or not, please use the sales figure like that. Don't disturb yourself. So what is the credit? What is the sales for 2021? Our sales for 2021 is 1,080,000. So bring it and put it here. 1,080,000. So please add this up for me. Divided by 2. 172,800 plus 259,200. Divided by 2 and divided by 1,080,000. Then multiply by 365 days. You get 73.
Yes, sir. 73 days.
Confirm. For 2022, we're going to repeat the same thing. What is our debtor? Okay, what is our debtor? What is our debtor? What is our receivable for 2022 opening? So for 2022, focus here, please. Focus here, 2022. And trace this one. Debtor, trace it. Now for debtor for 2022, the opening is 259,200, which is the closing for 2021 that will become opening for 2022. So copy that figure, 259,200. Pick it up and bring it there. 259, where are you? 259,200. What about the closing for 2022? The closing for 2022 will be 297. That's the actual figure of that 2022, 297,000. All right, 297,000. Please divide it by 2 and divide it by, what's the formula? Credit sales. So what's our sales figure? What's our sales figure? Our sales figure is 1,188,000. I repeat, 1,188,000. So bring it there and put it there, 1,188,000. Multiplied by 365 days, ladies and gentlemen, you should get 85 days. Am I communicating? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Let me pause here. Can I get a mail to confirm that he is actually following? A mail, married or unmarried? Please confirm with me.
Following, sir. Following, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Following. We are following you, sir.
Thank you. So the last thing that we need to compute here is our payable payment period. Payable payment period. These people, we are paying them. So the ratio we are going to use is going to be average payable divided by purchases. We are using purchases because our payable we usually buy from them. So the denominator should be purchases. So average payable, then divided by what? By purchases, and multiply by 365 days. So how do we get our average payable? Please, how do we get our average payable? Opening payable, that is opening creditors, plus closing creditors divided by 2. Coming back to the question, okay, coming back to the question. Where's our payables? These are our payables. Focus your mind here. Payables for 2021. Okay, let me clean this out so you can see the beauty. Okay, you can see the beauty. Let me take this one out. All right. So, what's our opening payables for 2021? Ladies and gentlemen, our opening debtor and creditors for 2021 is 86,400, which is the closing for 2020. So 86,400, copy it and bring it here. 86,400. This is it here, 86,400. Then what is our closing payables? Our closing payables for 2021 is 105,300. The same figure under 2021. That's the closing. This is the balance sheet item. 105,300. So that's what we have there. 105,300. Please divide it by 2. Our purchases is already known. These are our purchases here. 702. Okay, 702. That's how we have this 702. Can somebody do this mathematics for me and multiply by 365? You get 50. 50. Making sense?
Confirmed.
Now,
Yes,
this 50
sir.
will be in bracket because we are paying our supplier. So it's going to be in bracket 50 days. For no reason should you think that this thing are money. They are not money. They are in days. Am I making sense now? So let's compute, all right? Let's compute for 2022. Now, going back to our question, what is our payables for 2022 opening? The opening payables for 2022 is 105,300, which is the closing for 2021, 105,300. Copy it, bring it here, 105,300. What about the closing? You know, this 105,300 is opening. What about the closing? The closing would be this 126,000 under 2022, 126,000. So copy that and put it here, 126,000. Divided by 2 over, what's our purchases? You know, the formula says purchases, 720. Now, look at your purchases here, 720 for 2022. Look at it here, 720. Put it there. Multiply by 365,000, you get 59. 59 days.
Confirmed.
Confirmed. Now, what you're going to do now, right now, is if you have bottled water on your table and you're in the examination hall, open it, sip it, take reasonable quantity because you are done. All right? You are done. So add 66 plus 32 plus 41 plus 73 and minus 50.
So you're minusing 50 because it's a payable, right?
God bless you. Payable. You are paying them. You are paying them. So what do you get? You should get 162. Please do this one for me. 83 plus 32 plus 45 plus 85 minus 59.
186.
186, correct. We are good to go. Now look at the requirement of this. Look at this eye of this question. It says list the actions that management of the company might take to reduce the length of the circle. It says state the things that management should do to reduce the length of the circle. Coming back to our solution map. Under 2021, we have a working capital cycle of 162 days. And what does working capital cycle means? It means the length of time, sir, it takes us, to receive money, from our debtor and to pay money to our supplier. So it will take us 162 days on an average. Therefore, 2022, it will take us 186 days. Now, 162 days is shorter than 186 days. But professionally speaking, sir, for us to be able to advise management, we are going to advise management on an individual level, not on the total level. Am I making sense now? So we are going to advise management on this 66 that relate to raw material, on this 32 that relate to work in progress, and on this finished goods that relates to, this 41 that relate to finished goods, this 73 that relate to receivables, and this 50 that relate to what? To payables. Not really on this 162, because 162 is a figure that comprises several figures. So we need to address what are these figures first before we can address 162. Now, this 66 here simply means that it takes us 66 days for raw material, for what do you call it? For us to get raw material from our store down to production. I get it now, because the raw material will be transferred from store to what? Production. It therefore means that the raw material spent 66 days in the store before it gets to production. Oh, Jesus. Am I making sense? Am I communicating? The raw material spends 66 days in store before it gets to production. This 32 days simply means that it spends 32 days for this raw material to be converted to work in progress. For raw material to enter work in progress, it will take what? 32 days. Are you getting it now? This 41 days means that it is the total time it takes what? Finished goods to remain in the store before it is being sold. Okay? This 41 days now, this 44 one that you are seeing here. This is the length of time it takes what? Your finished goods to what? To be sold. It means that this finished goods is going to be stored in your warehouse, awaiting sales. How many days does this stay in your warehouse before you sell it? 41 days. This work in progress, how many days does this stay in the factory? Okay, before it becomes finished goods, 32 days. This is 66. How many days does this stay as raw material? Is 66 days. Now, how do we advise management, sir? For us to advise management, anyone that is positive, we need to find a way to reduce it. While anyone that is negative, we need to find a way to increase it. So if, I repeat, anyone that is positive, 66, 32, 41, 73, they are all positive. Find a way to reduce it. So if we are spending 32 days, for example, or let us use this one. If we are spending 41 days, for example, or if goods are spending 41 days before they are being sold, we should try to reduce it, because if you spend 41 days and another person is spending 30 days, it means that that person that is spending 30 days for him to sell his finished goods is doing better than that person that is spending 41 days. So anyone that is positive, advise management to find a way to reduce them. Okay? While anyone that is negative, find a way to increase them. This 50 days that is here simply means that this is the number, this is the length of time, 50 days, it takes you to pay your suppliers. And you know now the way it works in practice is that if they even tell you that you should pay in the next 100 days, you'll be happy. If they tell you that you should pay in the next 200 days, you'll be happy. But if they tell you to pay in the next 40 days, you'll be sad. Because you don't want to pay quickly. You want to use the money, okay, to do other things and pay later. Am I making sense now? So this 50 is negative, meaning that you are the one paying. So you will need more time for yourself to get that money to pay. That is why I say the one that is negative, increase it. Find a way to increase it. Talk to your creditor. Can you collect money in the next 90 days? Please help us. This 50 days is too short for us. 90 days. They say yes, it has increased to 90 days. So the higher, the better. Why for this other one that is positive, the lower, the better. Am I making sense now? Am I making sense now? So that's the advice. So you're advising management that this material production cycle, finished goods, and receivable, management should find a way. If they cannot reduce everything, they should find a way to reduce at least one or two of them. But you see this payable, they should find a way to increase it. Please, if you're increasing it, increase it with sense. So don't increase it to a level where your supplier will not say, "Oh God, let's say never ready for business. Let me go and find somebody else that I will be supplying." Once your supplier turns their back on you, oh, Barry, it is fini, it is finished.
Excuse me, sir.
You go and look for another word.
Excuse me,
supplier.
Sir. Excuse me, sir.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so please, for this finished goods turnover, you said is the number of days that the finished goods will sit in our warehouse or in our store before we sell, right?
Yes.
So as a way of advising, could it be that maybe the marketing team can be advised or they can do more marketing so as to get the goods out as a way of advising, so it can reduce the number of days that the goods sit in the warehouse? Does that work?
Yes, that is qualitative. That is other factors. That does not entail the computation. That is outside computation.
Okay. Okay.
If you like, go and employ more marketing team. If you like, go and call Davido to do your brand ambassador so you can sell more. If you like, go and do any other thing. It's fine. But calculation-wise, this is the calculation decision making that we have here. I don't know if I'm making sense. So for calculation-wise, you can reduce all these numbers. But for qualitative, any other ways, okay, you can go and get a team to sell your product, give your marketing team bonuses so they can work harder, give them incentive to motivate them. Those ones will also work. I don't know if that makes sense. Those ones will also work. It will help you to sell your goods faster. Any question?
Okay, yes, sir.
Any question? Any question, please? All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is all. The C part, the B part is not for us. That is all with regarding to Vestapricy enterprise. Ladies and gentlemen, this question we have tested cost of goods sold, and we have also tested what working capital cycle just in one question. All right, just in one question. I remain Dr. President, and then thank you so much for staying with me.